A diver's greatest dream, and also their worst nightmare, all rolled into one: the Great Blue Hole.
Submarine was sent to explore the Great Blue Hole, but what they found deep below shocked everyone. What started as a normal mission became something strange and unforgettable. As they went deeper, the light faded, the water got darker, and everything felt silent and heavy. The deeper the submarine descended into that vast, dark circle in the ocean, the stranger everything became. The sunlight faded, the water darkened, the silence grew heavier. And then, as the first full images appeared on the screens, the team realized they were looking at something far more powerful than they expected. This was not just a hole in the sea, it was a hidden world. A place shaped by time, sealed by darkness, untouched by almost everyone on Earth. And what they uncovered down there was eerie, ancient, and impossible to forget. Once the world saw it, people everywhere were stunned. So what exactly did they find in the depths of the Great Blue Hole? And why did this discovery leave such a strong impression on everyone who saw it? Let's go all the way down. The mystery from above. Far off the coast of Belize lies one of the ocean's greatest mysteries, the Great Blue Hole. From above, it looks almost unreal. A giant dark circle surrounded by bright tropical water, like a doorway into another world. For years, it fascinated divers, scientists, and travelers. People knew it was special, but much of what lay deep inside remained unknown. And that is what made this mission so important. A team of explorers and submarine experts set out to map the Great Blue Hole in 3D, hoping to reveal its true shape for the first time. What began as an expedition quickly became something bigger, because the deeper they went, the less this place felt like part of the ordinary ocean. It inspired curiosity, then awe, then something closer to fear. The mission begins. The day of the dive looked calm, peaceful. The sea was clear, the sun was bright, and from above, the Great Blue Hole seemed almost harmless. But the team knew better. Beneath the surface, there was darkness, pressure, and mystery. On the support vessel, the crew completed final checks. Every system mattered. Lights, cameras, sonar, communication, everything had to work perfectly. Because once the descent began, there would be no room for uncertainty. Then the submarine was lowered into the water. At first, everything outside looked bright and alive, but as it sank deeper, the light began to fade. The water darkened. The walls of the blue hole rose around the submarine like giant stone cliffs, and the world above began to disappear. Soon, the crew was surrounded by silence, darkness, ancient rock. That was when the real mission began. As the submarine moved lower, sonar began scanning the walls and floor. Inside, the first sections of the 3D map started appearing on the screens. And little by little, the team realized the Great Blue Hole was far more than a simple hole in the ocean. It was a massive underwater chamber shaped by forces older than human history. Into the depths. As the submarine descended deeper, the last traces of sunlight vanished. Soon, the vessel's lamps were the only source of light. They revealed the world in fragments: rock walls, ledges, sharp drops, strange textures in the stone. Beyond that, only blackness. Inside the submarine, the mood shifted. The deeper they went, the farther away the surface world felt. No sunlight, no horizon. Just a small vessel suspended in darkness. As the scans continued, the formations became clearer. The walls were lined with shelves, steep drops, and ancient shapes carved into limestone. And those formations revealed something crucial. The blue hole had once been a dry cave system, long before rising seas flooded it. That meant the team was not just diving into deep water. They were descending into a place shaped thousands of years ago, a hidden record of Earth's past. Then they moved deeper still, and with that depth, life began to disappear. Near the surface, the ocean is full of motion, but inside the blue hole, the water became still. The silence became heavier, the emptiness more unsettling. It no longer felt like part of the normal sea. It felt like another world. The map reveals the truth. As more data came in, the 3D image on the screens sharpened. The outlines of the blue hole grew more detailed. The walls were steeper than many had imagined, the internal shape far more dramatic. What looked simple from above was revealing itself to be something much more complex below. The Great Blue Hole was not just a neat circle in the sea. It was a huge geological structure with layers, contours, collapses, and hidden formations that could never be understood from the surface alone. This was the moment the team began to feel the true scale of what they were inside. The walls dropped downward with an almost overwhelming sense of age. They looked less like an ocean feature and more like the inside of a buried ancient chamber. Then, one part of the image began drawing everyone's attention. At the bottom, the scans revealed a massive, cone-shaped pile of debris. It stood out clearly, a huge formation gathered on the floor of the blue hole. In the digital model, it looked haunting, like the remains of collapse, as if the ceiling of some lost underground world had broken apart and settled silently below. Inside the submarine, the room went quiet. There was no monster, no glowing artifact, no hidden treasure, and that was exactly what made it so powerful. It was real. That cone of debris told a story of immense time, of collapse, transformation, pressure, erosion, geological change. It revealed that the Great Blue Hole had not formed as a perfect circle and remained unchanged forever. It had shifted, broken, evolved. And the 3D map turned that history into something visible. And once it became visible, everything changed. The explorers were no longer just collecting data. They were looking at evidence of an ancient environment preserved beneath the sea, a hidden structure, a record of Earth's past. Some stared in silence, others leaned closer to the screens. It was one of those moments where no one needs to explain why something matters. Everyone feels it at the same time. Because sometimes the thing that leaves people speechless is not fiction, it is truth. The feeling inside the submarine. As the submarine continued its work, the emotional weight of the mission became impossible to ignore. Inside that small vessel, surrounded by darkness on every side, the team experienced something very few people ever will. They were suspended inside one of the most mysterious underwater formations on Earth, watching its hidden shape appear piece by piece. And with every new layer of the map, the atmosphere inside grew more intense. One reason was simple: clarity. Mystery is powerful when something is unknown, but sometimes actually seeing the truth is even more powerful than wondering about it. The 3D map did not reduce the mystery of the Great Blue Hole. It made it bigger. Because now the team could see it more clearly. And because they could see it more clearly, they could feel its scale more deeply. They could see how sheer the walls were, how isolated the lower depths felt, how the bottom carried the marks of collapse and time. What had once been a famous natural wonder was becoming something else, something almost emotional, a place that seemed to hold memory inside its walls. The crew were professionals, trained for deep dives, scientific work, technical procedures. But even trained people can be moved when they enter a place that feels older and larger than human life itself. That is what happened here. The deeper they looked, the more they felt the age of the place. The more they understood it, the more humbled they became. Because the Great Blue Hole did not need to be dramatic to feel unforgettable. Its silence was enough. Its emptiness was enough. Its ancient shape was enough. And maybe that is what affected them most. There was no sign saying, "Look how extraordinary this is." The place simply existed, quietly, powerfully, indifferently. It had been there long before humans arrived with submarines and sonar, and it would remain there long after they left. That realization can hit hard, because it reminds us the world is not built around human attention. There are places of incredible beauty and mystery that do not need to be seen to be real. The Great Blue Hole was one of those places. And in that moment, the team was not conquering it. They were witnessing it. Back on the surface, above the water, on the support vessel, the mood also began to change. At first, the mission felt technical. People watched screens, checked systems, tracked positions. There was excitement, controlled excitement. Then the images began taking shape. As the 3D rendering became more complete, people on deck moved closer. Scientists studied the forms, crew members examined the walls, the bottom, the strange internal contours. And even those who had spent years around the ocean seemed deeply affected. That mattered, because these were not people easily amazed. Many had seen remote places, challenging dives, rare environments. But this felt different, because the Great Blue Hole was revealing itself not as a postcard image, but as a full, hidden structure. And that made it more real, and somehow more unsettling. From above, the blue hole is beautiful. From within, it becomes haunting. The 3D map captured that difference perfectly. It showed the blue hole not as a simple dark circle, but as an enormous geological chamber with layers of history sealed below the surface. That was the moment the mission stopped feeling like a technical expedition. It became a story about discovery, a story about hidden worlds, a story about how this planet still contains places capable of shocking us. And once the public saw the results, that story spread fast. Why the discovery hit so hard? When news of the 3D mapping reached the world, the response was immediate. Fascination, surprise, and something else. A kind of emotional silence. People asked the obvious question, what did they find? And when they saw the answer, many were stunned. Not because it was a monster, not because it was treasure, but because it felt real. In a way that was bigger than fiction. The Great Blue Hole had always been famous, but fame can flatten a place, turn it into an image, a drone shot, a travel destination, a fact people recognize without really understanding. This mission changed that. The 3D map gave the blue hole back its weight, its age, its mystery. It showed that this was not just a famous location on Earth, it was a hidden geological archive. A place shaped by forces so old and so slow that human life seems tiny beside them. That perspective is powerful. When people saw the images, many didn't know exactly how to describe what they felt. Some called it beautiful. Some called it eerie. Some said it looked like another planet. Others said it reminded them how little we still know about our own world. All of those reactions made sense, because the discovery touched something deep. It reminded people that mystery is still alive. In an age of satellites, maps, and cameras, the Great Blue Hole proved that there are still places capable of surprising us. Not because they are impossible to reach, but because we have not looked closely enough. And when we finally do, we may not find what we expected. We may find something older, stranger, more meaningful. That is exactly what happened here. A message from the past. The deeper meaning of the mission was not just about the shape of the blue hole. It was about time. Every wall and formation inside carried the marks of another world. A world before rising seas, before flooding, before the surface looked the way it does now. The blue hole reminds us that Earth is always changing, even when those changes happen too slowly for us to notice. What looks permanent is not always permanent. What looks finished is often still changing. What feels ancient may once have been something completely different. The 3D map turned that idea into something visible. It showed that the Great Blue Hole was not a fixed wonder. It was the result of process, erosion, collapse, flooding, time. A place shaped not by one dramatic moment, but by countless moments over ages beyond memory. That is one reason the mission mattered so much, because it gave people a way to see history, not as words in a book, but as a structure inside the Earth itself. The blue hole became more than a destination. It became evidence. Evidence that the planet remembers. Evidence that nature records its own story. Evidence that even the darkest places can teach us something, if we are willing to go there. And for the team, that realization may have been the most powerful part of all. They entered the blue hole to map it, but in the end, they also listened to it. The lasting impact. Long after the submarine returned, the images remained, and people kept talking about the mission, not just because it looked incredible, but because it created a feeling that was hard to shake. The 3D map gave the Great Blue Hole a new presence in the public imagination. No longer just a beautiful dark circle from the sky, but something deeper, a place of silence, collapse, history, wonder. And that changed how people thought about exploration itself. Because discovery does not always mean finding something completely new. Sometimes, discovery means seeing something known in a completely new way. The Great Blue Hole had always been there. People knew it, admired it, visited it. But this mission transformed understanding into experience. It gave shape to mystery. It replaced distance with detail. It allowed the world to see, maybe for the first time, what it feels like to enter that darkness and watch its hidden structure rise from the unknown. That is why the story stayed with people, because it was not only about what was discovered, it was about what was felt. Wonder, humility, curiosity, and that strange, unforgettable feeling that comes when the world reveals something ancient and true. Conclusion. In the end, the submarine mission to map the Great Blue Hole in 3D did more than create a scientific model. It opened a door. It gave the world a clearer look into one of Earth's most mysterious places. It revealed a hidden structure shaped by time, silence, and natural power. And it reminded us that even now, our planet still holds secrets capable of stopping us in our tracks. The team entered the blue hole to gather information. What they came back with was something bigger: perspective. The Great Blue Hole showed us that beneath beauty can lie darkness, beneath darkness can lie history, and beneath history can lie a truth so powerful that it leaves people speechless. There are still places on this planet that can humble us, still places that can shock us without noise, still places that remind us how much of the world remains beyond our full understanding. And maybe that is the most unforgettable part of all. The Great Blue Hole did not need to change to amaze the world. It simply needed to be seen. If this story fascinated you, subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon for more incredible discoveries, hidden mysteries, and true stories from around the world. Because sometimes, the greatest secrets are not above us in the stars. They are waiting below.